pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Please be seated.
Is there any nominations to act as the chair for this meeting?
Nominate Craig Roberts.
I would like to nominate Craig Roberts. I think it makes sense.
I second
to have somebody that is not running for office in that position. So I would nominate Craig.
Do you want me to gavel for you, though?
All right, that makes sense at least.
I already seconded.
You're seconding?
Yeah.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, that's where I should use my nay vote.
And then,
Yeah.
and then I'll do the roll call, or you want to call it?
Yes, Cassie, could you give us roll call, please?
Sure. Trustee Roberts,
Here.
Trustee Grabowski,
Here.
Trustee Hill,
Here.
Trustee Rhodey,
Yep.
Trustee Belt, here, Trustee Krasovich,
Here.
and President Knudsen is excused.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is public hearings, which we have none. Then we have approval of the minutes from the previous meeting of March 7, 2023. Does anyone have any corrections or comments regarding those? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second, Krasovich.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Nope. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with the board members on any topic you choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer any questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board, and you have 3 minutes per speaker. If you want to say something, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Does anyone here want to make a comment tonight on anything? No? Okay, we'll close that. Next item, ordinances. There are none. Item 6, resolutions. We have 1, possible action on resolution 2023-3, acknowledgement of the 2022 WPDES Stormwater Discharge Permit Annual Report. And I guess, Dan, you want to take the lead?
I do.
Very good. Please do so.
So this is my annual March visit to present the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4, permit report. It's one of the permits that we have from the DNR. A couple of high-level things. Our permit actually expired in 2019. However, it's perpetuated until a new permit is issued. I was at a meeting at the county earlier this year where the DNR said that they were going to start working on a new permit. I was also participated in a meeting of the DNR that indicated they were going to commence working on a TMDL for the Fox River, the Wisconsin-Illinois Fox River. So TMDL stands for Total Daily Maximum Load. The Fox River is an impaired waterway. So what a TMDL does is it determines what the waste load is, and then divvies up that waste load to point and non-point sources so that it meets the requirements of the Clean Water Act in the future. So what that means is everybody who's a discharger ends up most likely getting some sort of limitation on what they can discharge into the waterway. And they said that that's probably going to take 3 to 6 years to come to its conclusion. An interesting thing that they indicated was they are looking at and are likely to implement a chloride requirement, which is road salt, because they found that the Fox River is chloride levels keep climbing and climbing due to probably road salt. I don't know what else you could attribute it to. So the report itself, the report's an e-report. Filling out the report really doesn't take that much time, but accumulating all the information, the data, what we do on an annual basis takes a long time. So I'll just summarize what's in it. I did have a copy in there. I've actually made some revisions since I printed out the copy for you. Part one is just some basic information that I filled out the report. Part two is control measures. Sections 1 and 2 are about public education outreach, public involvement. That is a partnership we do with Waukesha County. Section 3 is illicit detection and elimination. We have 14 designated major outfalls in the village. I inspect every one of those every year during a low flow, dry weather period to see if there's ugly stuff coming out. I usually choose to do those at the droughtiest time of the year to ensure that there's nothing coming out of them. And there was nothing this year. Section 4 is construction site pollution control. That's erosion control measures. In this case, at 50, I think I changed the number since you had 56 of them. A lot of those were the Glen at Pewaukee Lake subdivision. We had some for the DPW construction. One of the other permits that we have out there is actually the pond or stormwater management rehab that's going on at Menards. I did make an inquiry to Menards about their reports, and I got no reply. Section 5 is post-construction stormwater management. That's how many new stormwater facilities were approved, built, or inspected during the year. I have to revise that potentially because it's a little gray about approved and built, because I believe like the Glen at Pewaukee Lake was approved in 21 but didn't get built until 22. So I have to do a little research on that and make sure. There's some questions in there too about municipal stormwater facilities. I've considered that we have 4, but 2 of them were at the DPW property and don't exist anymore. They were filled in and there's a building on top of them now. But with those 2 gone, we've added, there'll be 3 more. There'll be 3 new ones that go along with that. Pollution prevention, that's the one that takes really the most time. I got to go through and figure out everything that we've done as far as street sweeping, catch basin cleaning, leaf collection, road salt use. The numbers I got here were 61 tons of street sweeping, 1,200 cubic yards of leaves. So far, we've used about 625 tons of road salt, and we hauled off 740 cubic yards of yard waste and brush. And also, we did about 1,300 cubic yards of lake weeds as well.
Are those typical, or are those unusually high or low, or where is that stand?
Leaves is a little bit more. Salt is a little bit less. Yard waste is about the same. Lake weeds was maybe a little bit more than average.
Dan, can I ask you a quick question in regard to the road salt? And some of us might have heard from some other people also within the village in regard to road salt in roads that are adjacent to the lake and runoff.
Yep.
Is there any special direction that we give to our road crews in regard to salt usage in and around those roads that are right next to the lake? And I realize there's hills.
Nothing
You gotta deal with hills.
specifically, however, it's very subjective because when you look at Park Avenue, much of it is below a hill.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shade, and the sun doesn't hit it, and a lot of it is super elevated. It slopes from one side to the other. And we've got the hills on Maple and Highland and Lake Street that get extra attention. So it's like the worst place that it could be, because it requires extra salt there. Everybody All the operators except one have been to Saltwise training. My philosophy, and I wish the county had that, is that if you're kicking up clouds of salt after the road's dry, you put down too much. The exact correct amount is an amount that gets consumed and melts the snow and nothing more. And I think the 622 number really reflects that all of our operators do a really great job of putting down salt. The other thing that is very typical that we don't do is we don't do a whole lot of salting while we're plowing. Very common that you see a plow going by, the salt spreader's ripping. So that means when you come back and you do your curb cut or you do another pass, you're plowing off that salt that you just put down the previous pass. So we rarely ever do that unless it's an ice storm. We do our center cuts, our curb cuts, and we salt at the end because it takes the least amount of time. So when we do that salting, you'll see that we don't have the plows on the ground.
Okay, okay.
So I think we do a great job with salt, actually.
Am I able to, Mark, and am I able to ask a question in regard to, you'd make a comment about Menards not replying. Am I able to ask a question in regard to that?
That's really not something for the report, but if
Okay.
I think Dan would probably be happy to field a call if you had a question.
Okay,
about
sounds
that.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. What else do I got here? They require a system map, and there's been a lot of revisions to our system map this year. So that's a copy of our GIS. And then there's the fiscal analysis. I do another recycling report for the county, so and that's always due in February, so I get a lot of that kind of pre-started, but what they ask for doesn't jive with our budgets at all. So I do my best guesses to come up based on the records we do for everything else as well as our budget and put together that. So yeah. The remaining sections I don't really fill out, but TMDLs is going to kind of be a thing at some point in the future that you should be aware of. So that's my report. The resolution is just to acknowledge that you've been apprised of its content.
Are there ever any corrective actions that come as a result of this report, or is it just simply we're submitting it so they have it on record?
And I'll get a follow-up letter saying we've received your report and you're good to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions?
Trustee Hill motions to approve Resolution 2023-03 acknowledging the 2022 WPDES Stormwater Discharge Permit Report.
Second, Rhodey.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Dan. The next item, old business, we have none. New business, we have discussion and review of the 2022 Public Library Annual Report. And Nan, you look like you're getting ready to speak.
And that is me. Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak to you this evening. I just wanted to take the opportunity to come in and talk to you outside of the budget process and just let you know some of the things that are happening at the library and things that we did in 2022. We just finished our annual report for the state of Wisconsin. A lot of statistics were compiled and reported to them. So with that, we really got a good snapshot of what our year looked like. So with that, as part of your board packet, you all received a nice one-page document, just our 2022 year in review. And I wanted to just go through some of the highlights of this report. Once again, the library has a myriad of things that we do. Obviously, our bread and butter is our circulation of materials, but we do offer a wide array of other activities that are valued within the community. One of the things that we do are we have lots of programs that we offer. Traditionally, it's been children's story times, adult book clubs. We have greatly expanded into other areas, educational, fun, recreational, crafts, just to keep the community engaged, adults, teens, and children alike. In 2022, we had 392 programs that we offered, And with those programs, we had a little over 12,000 people attend those events at the library. Those numbers, we have been very happy to see after COVID that there's been a rebound. We also were able to initiate, we really reviewed our marketing and how we marketed programs to the public. We have started using a program called Library Aware, and with that we send out weekly e-blasts, and we just highlight one event. And with those e-blasts, we have especially seen with our adult programming a raise in our attendance. This week, as an example, we have a program that's coming up. We had 6 people registered. We sent out an e-blast Monday morning, and by today, when I checked back, we had 67 people registered. So it's just really created this firestorm. We're able to get better information out to people, and hopefully our programs, what we offer, and our attendance will just continue to grow. As well, total cardholders is always a great indicator of who is using our resources, who is using the library. And we have, from the city and the village of Pewaukee, we have a little over 11,000 registered cardholders. And I was able to break that out for the village of Pewaukee as well. A little under 3,500 cardholders, which I did look at your total residents. So that's about 42% of your population has an actual card. The thing that we have noticed as well as you look at that is that you think about a family. Sometimes a family may have a card for each member of their household, but often a household will have one library card. So though that is, I think, a great number, I think it is underrepresented in really the number of people in your community that you do have that are actively using the library.
Lower percentage in the city.
Of card holders?
As a percentage of the total population.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We're a little better read here in the village.
But once again, maybe you're more committed to everyone in your household having a card as opposed to, right,
I do have
just
4 in my
mom. So as well, one of the areas that we were really hit with COVID was actual visits to our facility. That really declined. People stayed away from our facility. This past year, we had a little over 95,000 visits to the library. That is not at the numbers that it was pre-COVID, but it is rebounding. And every day we see more and more people. We especially are seeing more and more children in the library again, which is really a segment of the community that stayed home. Adults would come in, pick up things. But we are so happy to see the little ones back, visiting us, attending programs, and just mayhem in the library. With that, reference questions is always a really big thing that we do at the library, information questions. I would like to say we're one of the only places you can ask us random variety of questions, and there's an actual person there to help you and assist with your questions. Right now, we've been very active with tax forms. We are one of the last places that you can actually pick up a tax form or print a tax form if you need it. We don't have many, so we often end up printing them out for people. So that is one area that we are unique. We provide just random different information services to people. And lastly, our bread and butter, our circulation. For physical materials, we were able to check out from our library a little over 250,000 physical items last year. So that's DVDs, books on CD. And as well, we do offer digital streaming to people. So Wisconsin's Digital Library, Libby, we had over 41,000 circulations. Hoopla, which is also a streaming service for books on CD, e-books, e-audiobooks, about 2,500 circulations, and then Flipster, which is a magazine database, a little over 500. So, and with those facts, you can also see, we just like to put in there for fun what our top circulating items were for the year. Of course, a lot of the tried and trues, John Grisham, James Patterson, they never go away, amazingly, but some new authors emerging as well. So with that circulation, one thing that we do at the library is when people check out their materials and on their receipt that they get a total of what dollars have they saved. If they were to go to a store and buy these materials, buy these books, what would that have cost them for that day to get those materials? And for that, we were able to get a total for the whole year, and the economic impact of that would be $5.7 million. And that means the materials that we checked out of the library, if you had to go and buy those, that is what that would cost the people who used your facility. And as well, that number does not include our digital materials at all. That is just our print, CD, DVD materials. So thank you. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
I do.
All
I think
right.
this is a wonderful way for you to present the information. It's nice to see the highlights of the fantastic ways the library is really making a positive impact on the community. I know there's been some discussion of an expansion of the Library of Things. Can you touch on that for us?
Sure. The Library of Things is a huge trend in public libraries right now. And what that consists of is bringing in things that are not traditionally circulated in libraries. Currently at the Pewaukee Library, we have started an Explore Pass collection. And those passes are actually funded by the Friends of the Library that do fundraising for us. And what those are, we buy subscriptions to different museums, and the zoo in the community, and the patrons can come and check out that pass, and that enables them to take their family or friends within the parameters of what you're allowed to do or how many people you can take to that venue to visit. We think that's a great way to sort of expand, to encourage educational experiences, positive experiences, outside experiences. We've also been able to add board games this past year. Once again, a great way for a family to sit down, have fun, to learn math, to have communication with one another, and to really engage others as well too. It gives you an opportunity to try something that you may not know if you want to buy. So those are two areas that we've expanded, and we will look to continue to expand those areas. And really the feedback on the Library of Things is that it has brought a new service to the libraries, and people are coming in that have never used libraries before. It's just a new way to engage them, to get their foot in the door, and once they have a library card and they use our Library of Things, we're hoping that once again they will go back to reading, go back to checking out books, come to programs. So I think it's really enabling us to reach a wider segment of the community.
Thank you for the information. I was surprised to hear that the 5.7 million number was as accurate as it is. That's amazing. I was expecting an average that you were doing on circulated items. So it's great information.
I was wondering how you calculated that, but it's a neat way on those.
Right. So every item has a replacement price in it, and that is how that's calculated, taking off that replacement price. So right, you have a family that comes in and they may check out 40 picture books at a time. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of bang for your buck. That's a lot of picture books. So
Awesome.
And they're not cheap either. Yeah, I got a question for you. Yeah, I mean, everyone's aware of just how society is kind of moving from paper-based consumption of information to digital. Mm-hmm. How is that affecting how you look at what you're going to purchase in the next year? Like when you're looking at, purchasing books or any kind of magazines or anything like that, how has that changed and where is that moving towards?
Sure. So definitely our change in circulation that we have seen is a rapid decline in our DVD circulation. And as you would expect, with COVID really accelerated people's use of streaming services for video. So that is an area that we're seeing a rapid decline in. We anticipate also, we currently have books on CD. No one really has a CD player anymore. We're getting to the point where those will not exist. So we anticipate that with that transition, e-audiobooks will continue to increase in popularity. We have seen that that is happening. And so really, for me to look for new ways that we can increase those collections. Now, it is difficult because publishers are hanging on very tight to the strings that they have, the authority that they have to sell those items to us. For example, right now for ebooks, e-audiobooks, there are often moratoriums on how, until we can get materials at times, or they charge us lots of money in the beginning to get those items. So really for us as librarians, I think we really have to look at trying to work with publishers to increase the availability of those types of materials for us. I think that will continue to be a new market for us. When we look at our circulation of books, it is steady and the same. The people are still checking out actual books at the same percentages as they did before. So we
But I
will
wouldn't have
continue.
expected. I would have thought that would go down.
I know, and I think too, in talking to people, people read in a variety of ways. If you're at home, you might have a nice book that you just want to sit and read by the fireplace. If you're traveling, you like to have your Kindle, you like to have your device so that you can travel and take additional books for you. So I think we're starting to see that the population, they read a variety of different formats. So people have embraced how they read what under different circumstances.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else?
No, thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
That's great.
All right, next, discussion of possible action on a proposal for professional engineering services for the 1010 Finland Drive Water Reserve Rehabilitation. Dan?
I still buy audio CDs, by the way.
Yeah, well, some people actually print the information out yet and read it.
For baby
And I saw the statistics, about 77 million vinyl LPs were sold last year, which outnumbered
Yeah, they're
audio
back.
CDs.
They're back.
I'd be
So-
interested on the audience if any of them own CDs.
We don't own CDs.
I do.
You should be able to pick some of those up cheap really soon. Check the library
Depending where you
sale.
get them from, you can get a digital version along with the CD, so then you have both.
But they don't make cars with CDs anymore, though.
Yeah, no CD players. No.
Yep. Okay, so I had this on a previous board meeting, and I pulled it because I had some heartburn over a few things on it, and we've done some revisions. This is a proposal for Dixon Engineering, for engineering services for rehabilitation of our 200,000 gallon elevated water tank at 1010 Quinlan. That tank was originally constructed in '96, so that makes it 27 years old. I attached a portion of the most recent inspection, which was done in December of '21. If you wanted to see a lot of photos that go along with those descriptions, our water study report that's on the website has many photos showing a lot of rust and paint separation, that sort of thing. The proposal I got from Dixon, who does, we also do a lot with them when it comes to cellular companies revising their equipment. We generally do pass-throughs with Dixon to do those inspections and reviews of any structural analysis, that sort of thing. In this case, I'm looking for them to put together specifications, bid documents, take care of the bid tabulations, but most importantly, do all the inspections. The inspections on blasting and coating is very specific certifications needed for that. So there's that, but then, and Mark has reviewed the original proposal that they had. What was added to it, since I pulled it from a previous board meeting, was services to deal with all the three cellular companies that are mounted on the tower. Mark also recently reviewed all those lease agreements, which have issues. So the revised proposal here is about $23,000 more because there's a significant amount of time in there to deal with the cellular companies. What the agreements say is that we'll bid a repainting project with and without the equipment on, and we'll paint it with the equipment on. So that's clearly not a very good way to rehabilitate a structure to 100%. We have two guys two people at Dixon who we deal with. Joe Hoban is kind of a higher level guy. Kayla is more the field person. Joe has relationships through other municipalities with some of these cellular people. We're going to send them out their 45-day notice, and then we're going to try to work with them to get their stuff off the tank so we can blast it and paint it properly. That's not what the agreements say, but that's what we're going to try to shoot for. So there's a lot of stuff going on here that's going to require a bunch of effort. So that's how the proposal ended up going up. It remains to be seen, I think, and Mark can maybe comment whether this extra $20,000 is somehow dingable to those three carriers. Maybe, maybe not. But as it stands, I need to cover that. So what I'm looking for is approval to sign on a professional services agreement for a service fee of $72,950 to Dixon Engineering.
So to follow up on that, there is a cap of $3,500, which is obviously a very antiquated number for that kind of review. If you're just moving it around on the tower itself, as opposed to doing assessments of new equipment and so forth that might go on. And that I think we can make that request, and I think they're used to paying that. I've worked with all these companies elsewhere, and they're used to having to pay that. The other thing I'd like to see is that they come back, Dixon comes back and looks at the installation post-completion and make sure that it was done in accordance with the plans, because you'd be surprised how many times it's not.
Right.
Or that it interferes with like the ladders, so your crew to be able to get up in there, those cables and so forth maybe are going in the wrong place, and so yeah, we want to make sure it's going to be functional once the work is done. So, and I think those inspections also are dingable, if you want to use that term, to the cell companies.
Right.
So. Yeah,
And we have that covered in here.
Yeah, I think that's what we want. So the 23,000, that is worst case scenario.
Yes.
The additional 23 is worst case scenario. You're not expecting anything over that. Best case scenario is that we do get to ding the cellular companies for their component. Correct?
I think what Mark is saying is at a minimum, it'd be $3,500 per. So that'd be $10,500. It would be half that extra cost, roughly, a little less than half of that.
Okay.
Are there only 3 towers on the?
Yes.
Okay.
carriers, yes.
Carriers?
Yeah.
So it's per carrier, it's not per,
Yeah, each one of them has their own lease, and each one of them has, that information in it.
Right.
So looks like they're all
Ideally,
done at the
what
same
we'd like
time.
to see is a temporary monopole set up, and then they move their stuff to that and just get off the tank altogether. And in my conversations with Joe Hoban, he kind of thought that, based again on his experience at other places, that was kind of likely to happen. They all know that that's the best way to get the job done.
because otherwise their equipment could get damaged and they gotta go fix it anyway, so.
Yeah, and the whole thing has to be shrouded to, for blasting, so that you can recover your blast material and all that.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure how you would do that with all that stuff on there. Some of the ways I've seen that done or participated in one is they actually go up and they weld an array of rods that stick out over the side, and then that's what the shroud gets attached to. So we're probably looking at some form of that.
Did Dixon do the inspection? I'm trying to remember who did the actual inspection on this tower, or on this reservoir.
You mean originally?
Didn't we have an inspection done on our reservoirs about a year
Oh,
ago?
yes. You mean our dry, our dry internal, external
Right.
inspections? Yes, that was Dixon.
Okay.
Yep,
Well, they know the project well.
I believe all the pictures were in the last.
Oh, so I did include some pictures. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, all right.
And they do the same work for many, many other municipalities, so they're very experienced.
Yep.
Trustee Hill would like to make a motion to approve the professional services agreement, engineering service agreement with Dixon Engineering for the property at 1010 Quinlan Drive.
Second, Grabowski.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion and direction regarding Pewaukee High School class proposal for lakefront park use, supporting the mental health awareness event.
Craig, if I could give an introduction.
Sure.
Earlier this month, Ella, Dana, and Kate appeared in front of the Park and Rec Board and presented their idea, which was enthusiastically approved. They do not have to get any type of approval from the village board. But I think anytime young adults show initiative, show leadership, and show what great examples they are of our school district, we love to show them off a little bit. And I think the fact that they could come in front of us and get some more public speaking experience, which is always good, they volunteered to come in and give us a presentation on their idea and what they're going to be doing in May.
Okay.
So with that,
Cassie, do we need names and addresses of each? No. No? Okay. All right. Yours.
So, as I believe you have our summary from our entire event that we're doing. So our idea is to have a mental health and wellness event to kind of promote the community wellness, and our target audience is everyone in the community from all ages, because we believe that mental health and wellness is one of the most important things, especially considering our recent events. And since that summer, we actually have an update from Rogers. Just today, we got information that we would have a licensed therapist at our thing, or like little booth, and they're gonna have information to be able to give to everyone, plus resources for things like mental health screenings, that they can get like an idea of what our goal is and what our mission is. And in addition to that, we have like handouts that people can have to get the help that they need, or if they're interested in learning more, we do have those resources available to them, and we will be able to give them even more resources. So that's what.
And then a big part of mental health is just the overall well-being of someone's body and mind and body kind of go together, looking at it from a holistic point of view. So we have Nona Nutrition. Hopefully, we're just waiting to hear back if they can make the date. And then Venture Wellness are going to come and talk and have a booth promoting the physical well-being side of things with eating habits, and then providing samples of their smoothies and just information about them as well, and what resources they can provide to help.
So basically how we came up with this idea was we were tasked in our Elements of Health and Medicine Insight course to create a passion project of something that we all thought that we could do something to better the community in some way. So we our group kind of just said, go big or go home. And so we recognized in our community that in the high school, especially as teens, they tend to promote mental health awareness a lot in teens, because that's where, where it shows. But we noticed that it is often neglected in young tweens, per se, and just young kids in general, and adults as well. So we kind of wanted to create an event to kind of promote mental health awareness, because it often goes unnoticed in young kids. And we have talked to many people, and for example, one of our friends, or just people in our class in general, have said that they wish that they knew as a child what these feelings they were experiencing and stuff were, anxiety, depression, just knowing more about all this stuff. So our goals are to just kind of create pamphlets to provide more information on mental health awareness and just kind of have an event to promote all of this, because as you know, what you eat, what you do in your life can affect your overall mental health. So
Something that we didn't really mention, but it's in our summary, is the yoga part of it. So we have a few yoga instructors that we have that are willing to donate their time to teach certain yoga sessions throughout our 5:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. time frame. And throughout that, they're going to be starting classes every hour on the hour for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes each. And that is promoting the workout, body wellness along with that. And to kind of backpack off that is where we got the idea for Nano Nutrition and Venture Wellness. So that's our little yoga spiel. So,
And I think you have a fourth member also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the four of them will work with Nick and with the Park and Rec Department to make sure everything is properly taken care of on the lakefront. Again, there was no approval required over here, but again, great examples of what the school district is doing and what they're producing. And again, the initiative and leadership that you are all showing is fantastic, and we very much appreciate it.
we also want to highlight our other group member, Owen Hake. He's a part of the Pewaukee basketball team, so he couldn't be there with us at the last meeting or this meeting. But it was entirely his idea, the yoga portion of it, so I want to give him that recognition. We kind of compromised a bunch, but we just want to make sure that he has that recognition. The yoga was his idea.
It's a fantastic addition to it, and I commend you all for taking this on and having a true passion project that I think is really going to reverberate through the community, not only your age, but like you said, younger and older. So let us know what we could do to help, or any way we can assist to promote it. I wish you luck, and I think it's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anyone have any questions?
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And the last item. Oh, no, we have citizen comment. Oh, no, we have the monthly approval. So, yeah, monthly approval of the checks. Are there any questions anyone has on the 37 pages of checks that we needed to review?
Just noticed that majority of those checks were property tax
Right, that's what I was.
reimbursements, and some of them were rather substantial.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could get clarification on that, because I was wondering the same thing. The whole first couple pages are all.
Yeah, those are typical the early part of the year with, once the settlements with the county, we get all that information, then those will be processed for overpayments of property taxes. A mortgage company pays, and sometimes the property owner will pay in addition to the mortgage company, just to make sure they get paid in a timely manner. So those are, I'd say, very consistent with many past years.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the checks other than the ones for the library.
Motion to approve all the checks with the exception of the Library Hill.
Second, Rhodey.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And then we have checks for related to the library. Looking for an acknowledgement.
Motion to acknowledge.
Second, Grabowski.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you.
Hey, Cassie, notice one thing on page 37 of the document. It still reads date, mayor, city council, and city recorder. Can we get that changed to reflect our positions?
I will work on
Not unless something happened that I'm not aware of.
Course in order.
It's probably just a canned report, we just probably have to figure out.
I got caught in this in college too, plagiarizing someone else's.
Don't admit that.
All right. Next item is citizen comments. Again, opportunity to address the board on any topic you want. Anyone here that wants to address the board for citizen comments? All right, thank you. Next, we'll go into closed session. The village board of the Village of Pewaukee will enter into a closed session pursuant to state statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating purchasing of public property, investing in public funds, conducting other specific public business, whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically regarding Riverside Preserve Developers Agreement, fire and EMS contract with the City of Pewaukee, and the joint library agreement with the City of Pewaukee. And for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel, who is rendering oral or written advice, term strategy to be adopted by this body, respect to litigation, which it is or likely to become involved, specifically Wisconsin Manufacturing and Commerce, and the Ann Heisey Revocable Trust. Look for motion to go into closed session.
So moved. Krasovich.
Second, Rhodey.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have to do a roll call? Okay, Cassie, roll call.
Trustee Roberts.
Almost great.
That was close.
Trustee Roberts.
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski.
Yes.
Trustee Hill.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodey.
Yes.
Trustee Belt. Yes. Trustee Krasovich.
Yes.
We are in closed session. Mark, how do we handle number 11? Is it the way it reads on here? Bear with me for a second. Oh, we have to wait for that.
Yeah, so there's no.
No action.
Yeah, unless you have any action, I think you could just go past that then.
We're back live. Okay. Item number 11, there's going to be no action at this point, so we don't need to make a motion
Unless
or
someone
anything.
makes a motion, right?
Anyone going to make a motion on that? Okay. Item 12, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Grabowski.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.